The Cyberspace, Esther Dyson, a reading. Something in the modern psyche loves new frontiers. We hanker after wide open spaces. We like to explore. We like to make rules instead of following them. However, is there a place where you can go and be yourself without worrying about the neighbors? As the introduction suggests, you are being taken into the world of cyberspace, the virtual world as we call it. Yes, there is a place, cyberspace. Formerly a playground for computer nerds and techies, cyberspace now embraces every conceivable constituency, including school children. Can they all get along amicably in the cyber world? Or will our fear of kids misusing the cyberspace provoke a crackdown? That is a fear we as parents always face. What are our children watching on the net? There is always the risk factor. Esther Dyson elaborates on that point as the lesson continues. The first order of the business is to grasp what cyberspace is. It might help to leave behind metaphors of highways and frontiers and to think instead of real estate. So the comparison is with real estate. Real estate, remember, is an intellectual, legal, artificial environment constructed on top of land. It recognizes the difference between parkland and shopping mall, between red light zone and school district, between church, state and drug store. In the same way, you could think of cyberspace as a giant and unbounded world of virtual real estate. Okay, so cyberspace is being called a world of virtual real estate. Interesting, right? Some property is privately owned and rented out. Other property is common land. Some places are suitable for children and others are best avoided by all but the oddest citizens. Unfortunately, it's those places that are now capturing the popular imagination. They make cyberspace sound like a nasty space. Good citizens jump to conclusion, better regulated. So because there are no restrictions, once you are on the net, if you want to watch something, you can. So that is what prompts good citizens in the sense of your parents, your teachers, to restrict your use of the net. So how do we bring about a change in that situation? It is entirely up to the user. That is what we will see further ahead. It is the user's discretion. It is he or she, irrespective of age, he or she who must decide what is right and what is wrong for you. All right? Using censorship to counter and silence cyberspace fundamentally misinterprets the nature of cyberspace. Cyberspace isn't a frontier where wicked people can grab unsuspecting children, nor is it a giant television system that can beam offensive messages at unwilling viewers. You see, with television, there are always these programs, if you're sitting and watching it with your family, it might be a program, it might be an ad in between, which is not suitable to be viewed by everyone. But there's nothing you can do about it because it's in the middle of the program probably, or it's a small scene in something that you are watching. So there's nothing you can do about it. You are compelled to watch it. But that is not the case when you are using the internet. In this kind of real estate, that is your internet, okay? Users have to choose where they visit. That's very important. What they see, what they do. It is optional. And it's much easier to bypass a place on the net than it is to avoid walking past an unsavory block of stores on the way to your home. A very interesting comparison. If you have to reach home and you have, say, a bunch of hooligans on the way, you have no alternative. You have to walk past them to reach your home. However, on the internet, when you search for something, you see, when you give those keywords related to that, you get a lot of topics. It's not necessary for you to go into any of those domains. You know what you are looking for, and you can straight away go into that area. You're not forced to see anything you don't want to. So once again, the idea is you have to use your discretion. But plainly, cyberspace is a voluntary destination. In reality, many destinations. You don't just get onto the net. You have to go to some place in particular. That means that people can choose where to go and what to see. That's the key sentence there. You choose where to go and what to see. Yes, community standards should be enforced, but those standards should be set by cyberspace communities themselves. What we need isn't control from outside over these electronic communities. We need self-rule. What makes cyberspace so alluring is precisely the way in which it's different from shopping malls, television, highways, and other terrestrial jurisdiction. But let's define the territory. So now we are going to define cyberspace, the territory, okay? First, there are private email conversations akin to conversations you have over the telephone or voicemail. These are private and consensual and require no regulation at all. Second, there are information and entertainment services where people can download anything from legal or interesting presentations. These places are like bookstores, malls, and movie houses, places where you go to buy something. The customer needs to request an item or sign up for a subscription. Some of these services are free, others charge and may bill their customers directly. So this all of you all are familiar with. You use the internet and you know. Third, there are real communities, groups of people who communicate among themselves, like your WhatsApp groups. In real estate terms, they are like shops or restaurants or playgrounds. Each active participant contributes to a general conversation, generally through posted messages. Other participants may simply listen or watch. Some are supervised by a moderator, others are more like bulletin boards. Anyone is free to post anything. Many of these services started out unmoderated but are now imposing rules to keep out unwanted advertising, extraneous discussions, or increasingly rude participants. Without a moderator, the decibel level often gets too high. Some people don't know how to restrict themselves. There are certain things you cannot comment on in public. It might be religion, it might be a person's social status, all of those things. Politics, all very controversial topics. Better to keep your comments or thoughts to yourself. Or when you have a one-to-one discussion, it's fine, but not on the net. Okay, so that is where regulations need to be imposed. So you have a very detailed description of the territories, the different kinds of virtual spaces that we have on the net. So I think we'll stop with the first segment of cyberspace. I hope it was an interesting session. We'll continue with the remaining ideas in the next session. See ya.